Hello and welcome. My name is Flora. I'm a 2D artist learning 3D modeling and printing. In this video, I'm going to show you the creative process behind bringing this miniature room to life. As a way to learn the 3D software Blender, I have been modeling furniture sets from my favorite game, Animal Crossing. This furniture is part of their Cute set. I chose this furniture set because it is relatively simple, yet still more complex than my last project, which was the Simple set. Before starting this project, some of the questions I had were, how do I divide up the sofa? Is this one piece or multiple pieces attached? How do I make a functional hinge at this scale? Am I able to recreate all the folds of the bed's drapery? In other words, am I too noob for this project? Let's find out. Before I even opened up Blender, I wanted to break down these designs into simple shapes. Here, I'm using my 2D skills to understand and create a step-by-step guide for myself as to how to model it in 3D. Shout out to my friend Franco who suggested I do this. Just like how I approach every 2D drawing with the simple shapes, cubes, cylinders, and spheres, I'm identifying these same shapes in the 3D models so that I can figure out how it all fits together. Now with an attack plan in place, we can jump into Blender. I didn't know that this is the face that I made while modeling. I should probably try to look less angry because I'm actually having fun. I'm not suffering, I promise. This time, I decided to be slightly smarter than last time and imported the screen caps of the game directly into Blender so that I could model over it. This helped me make sure that I was staying true to the shapes and size of the original furniture designs and helped me ensure that I was applying consistent scale across all of the different pieces. Although I couldn't follow it super precisely because I couldn't get my hands on real orthographics, meaning I couldn't get a true front, side, and back view. These images are all at a little bit of an angle, more of an isometric, so I couldn't follow it that precisely while using Blender's orthographic mode. One thing that Franco emphasized I learned is to keep everything low poly at first, and then add complexities later and use a subdivision surface modifier to smooth out any curves. This helps keep the geometry simple and easy to manipulate. As I'm modeling here, you can still see the outline of the actual geometry. Those are the blocky parts I'm moving and changing. But with the subdivision surface modifier applied, it shows me what the final product would look like, round curves and spheres. And I don't even have to do anything. The modifier does all the heavy lifting. All I have to do is click a button. I know this idea of working from simple to complex sounds like common sense, but now when I look back at how I used to model, I realize that I added too many details way too early on. Keeping things low poly doesn't just make it easier for me, it also helps the process go faster. Thank you, Franco, for suggesting this. Highly recommend for newbies. To figure out how to approach the wardrobe doors, I looked at some of my existing miniature toys and their hinges. I really like the simplicity of this one, where it's just a hole and a nub. This is definitely not the correct term for this type of hinge, so if you know the actual name, please let me know in the comments. I really didn't know if this was going to work out, but I decided to just give it a try, make the holes slightly larger than the nubs, and hope that my printer would print accurately. I think it was really encouraging for me to understand that anything can be broken down into really simple shapes. This means that if I can learn how to model simple objects, I can pretty much model anything. After modeling, it's the slicing stage, which is probably my least favorite step. I have to say though, I think I am learning from my mistakes and getting better at this because all the prints turned out pretty well on the first try, whereas in the past I've had to print it 4 to 5 times before I got something usable. So I am learning from my mistakes. For tiny, high detail objects such as these, I usually opt for my resin printer. It took me 4 printed plates to get all the pieces that I needed, but I'm pretty happy with how they all turned out, with the exception of a couple that I printed a little bit too late in the day. The challenge of printing in the winter is that the temperature will drop pretty quickly in the evening, causing some of these lines to form across these prints. This project ended up being a collaboration between my resin printer and my FDM printer, because although this lamp post turned out pretty well in resin, it didn't print fully hollow. And it's important that it prints fully hollow because, well, you'll see at the assembly stage. One new thing that I tried this time was making my own sanding sticks. This way I could have multiple different grits to choose from while sanding, and the sticks made it easier than just holding the sandpaper directly with my hands. Also, sorry for the blurry footage, I'm still learning how to use my camera. Another thing I tried to do was to fill in the cavities left behind by the resin supports. I used a UV resin that I later cured, but I found this process to be pretty difficult to manipulate, so next time I might opt for a UV putty instead. The last time I primed my miniatures, it was summertime. It was warm, dry, sunny outside. Now it's constantly raining and it's super cold, which is not the ideal condition for using a spray can primer. I decided to try the regular paint-on primer, which people did warn me was more difficult to use than the spray can, but I don't own a garage or a balcony, so I really didn't have much of a choice. So here we are, applying 4 separate layers of primer to each object. Excruciating! I was so happy when I was done priming everything, but then I realized it was time to paint it. The painting stage actually took even more layers than priming because the colors were light and I had used a gray primer. The next time, I'm gonna use a white one. I'm trying to stick with these 4 colors so I can learn how to properly mix my paints. However, it didn't really turn out to be like the in-game colors that were a lot brighter. I think I would have opted for neon or fluorescent if I wanted to recreate that same look. What I got was a lot more muted, but you know what? I actually don't mind it. Assembly was my favorite part. I think I spent so much time with the deconstructed pieces and each individual piece that I kind of lost track of what the final product was supposed to look like. Assembly felt like I was putting together a puzzle or assembling IKEA furniture, where I was following instructions on how to put each piece together to end up with a functional piece of furniture. There were some details that I decided to use stickers for: the spread on the sofa and the table. I made these stickers in Photoshop, printed them on sticker paper, and then cut them with my Cricut machine. I actually modeled 2 versions of the sofa, one with the spread built into it and one without so that I could use the sticker. I actually ended up liking the sticker one better, but it was too late because I had already glued my heart pillow onto the hand-painted one. But it's okay. These tiny hearts were also really difficult to manipulate, but they turned out looking way better than anything I could have painted by hand. To finish off the vanity, I cut a piece of heart-shaped foil to use as the mirror. This gives it a nice reflective surface and is convincing enough for me. Okay, here's my little surprise. I'm not sure if this is exciting for you, but it's exciting for me, so it was worthwhile. It works! It's a tiny light. I recreated the wallpaper and the flooring in Photoshop. I put a wood grain over the colors to give it a high level of detail without me having to paint each individual wood grain. I added highlights and shadows manually to give it a more realistic look. This process gave me a whole new appreciation for the artists who worked on this game, because each decision they took for each design is so detailed, deliberate, and thorough. Somehow it looks realistic, yet stylized. I definitely feel like my 3D skills have leveled up with this project, and so has my confidence. I'm gonna hold on to this feeling as much as I can because it can be really fleeting. I know that for the next project, my confidence is probably gonna be on the floor again when I take on something that's a little bit above my skill level. Overall, I'm really happy with how this project turned out. Even though it doesn't look exactly as it does in-game, I'm learning that close enough is actually good enough. What I'm most proud of during this process was that I was able to take complex objects that I felt intimidating to model and broke them down into simple, understandable shapes for myself. It took really long, but I allowed myself the time to fully understand how these shapes fit into one another and how to work from simple to complex. I'm so relieved that I'm getting successful prints with fewer tries. This means that I'm actually learning from my mistakes and applying what I'm learning. My goal for the next print will be to get fewer cavities from supports and also to do a better job sanding my prints. I know there's a lot I need to improve on, but I'm just going to stick with 2 for the time being, otherwise I'm going to get overwhelmed. Being a 2D artist, I rarely get the chance to create tangible products from my work. I think that's what really draws me to 3D printing. I can take my creations on a flat surface and bring them into the real world. I can touch it, I can feel its texture, observe it under different lights. It's really cool. What do you think? Does this look faithful to the designs in my room in Animal Crossing? Do you think I captured all the details that make these designs recognizable? Let me know if you have a favorite set that you would like to see me model in a future video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.